going to start it by saying that, oh, well, I don't know. This is like another Elsa's Mock podcast, so welcome. This is the Elsa's podcast, and you're listening to the queen herself, Elle. And today, Elle says, you got to start somewhere. So I'm going to start right here, how I always used to do my podcast when I felt like I needed a pick-me-up or I needed to talk and be real and be honest and be open and be transparent in a way that I feel safe and with zero judgment and feel open. I don't know, something about my podcast has always been like a safe space for me to really, truly say how I'm feeling. It's been kind of crazy a bit lately in my head. A lot of changes has happened. I know it's may come as a shock or like a whoa or like a wow, like a really, that I no longer have therapy anymore. My last therapy session was a little bit over a week ago. It is Saturday, so this past Wednesday was the day where I didn't have therapy. I normally have it 2 weeks, so I feel like it's gonna hit me more next week, but I feel like it can't hit me any more than it already has right now, that I no longer have therapy. I've been going to therapy for like let me see, I believe I started therapy in like 2017, 2018. It is now 2022, so around 5 or 4 years. 5 years? I'm gonna just round up to 5 years, I believe. And to honestly like not have it is, I think, having a bigger effect on me than I thought it would. I don't know, like, of course, probably hearing it back, it's like, okay, you used to do this thing like almost every week or every other week for 5 years straight. Like, now you're like strictly just, you don't have it anymore. Like, that space that I put therapy as be the place I'm always just 100% honest. And I feel like in a way it hindered my faith just a bit, because I always relied on therapy, a physical person, a physical voice, a physical answer to figure out my next steps in life. But now it's like, no, I rely on God to guide me in the way I should go. Not saying I didn't do that before, but I didn't do it as consistently as I do now, because like I feel like I have no choice. Like, if I don't rely on God, if I'm not trusting God, like, I don't know what my life will be like, you know? So it's been a very transitional period, if I do say so myself. It's been weird, to say the least, because I'm used to me with therapy. I'm not used to me without therapy. I believe I'm getting to know myself more, and I'm learning a lot about myself more than I did while I was in therapy. It's just like the freedom that I feel outside of therapy. It's kind of weird, because therapy is meant to help you and better your mental health and your well-being. And I feel like I never had the chance to actually use the tools, because I was constantly just, I'll go to therapy, figure it out, go to therapy, figure it out. Now it's like, not having therapy, it's like, I'll figure it out right now. And that whole feeling of figure it out right now, and that whole mindfulness and presence of it all, honestly, it's been very overwhelming, to say the least. Like, my filtering and how sensitive I am to things as like social media. Like, I thought I could just look at social media or like scroll on my feed and also like see, go on Twitter occasionally, see what's going on, all that stuff. And I didn't think for a second it would like affect me in a negative way. Even like positive content, it's like the only thing I can do right now, really, truthfully, is YouTube. And it's so funny because, I'm a YouTuber. I haven't posted in like God knows how long, but I will post again soon. Especially like I want to post my podcast as well, and a lot of other stuff. So That's been the only place where I've honestly been able to not feel like I'm filtering in stuff. I think it's because it's very more selective for me. Like, I'm subscribed to people that I like and that bring some form of positivity to my life, opposed to just like, I'm follow people. It's not saying I'm not following people that I don't like. It's like I'm following people, but I believe that when I'm looking at like Instagram or Twitter, sometimes you can come across things like suggested posts or like suggestions or something like that, or like even with Twitter, like with things that are trending and stuff. You really can come across things that can like ruin your whole day, to say the least. Not to like knock any of the social media applications, but you know what I'm saying, like you can like come across, it's not even with social media, like in life, you honestly can even come across this conversation around you and you hear something that you don't want to hear. You wish you go back in time and be like, I wish I'd never seen that, I wish I never heard that. It just like affected me in a negative way. I believe I'm more of an empath than I allow myself to believe I'm an empath. So it's kind of crazy that I didn't like realize it until now, where I'm like, don't have therapy to be like, oh my gosh, I seen this or I heard this or experienced that, and like, whoa. It's like the mindfulness I have helps me to be more self-aware that things affect me, and I'm so sensitive. And I don't want to say sensitive as a negative thing. I just believe I'm very sensitive, and it can be a positive thing because people are more attached to their emotions than we like to let ourselves believe. But yeah, I believe I've become a lot more sensitive now than I was prior. And I don't see it as a negative thing. I just see it as a thing to be more aware of or more mindful of, that things affect me a little more than they did prior. And I don't know if it's because, like, I guess when you constantly are talking about the things that are going on in your life, like every week, every other week in therapy, in a way for me, I think I became a little, I even did group therapy and stuff like that. In a way, I feel like I became a little more desensitized to stuff. And I'm realizing in my like character traits that I'm not as desensitized to things as I thought I was. I can't look at everything. I can't see everything. And being a child of God, I truly understand that more, because like, be mindful of what you watch or what what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're taking in. And opposed, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'll start praying like, God, please just cleanse my spirit, restore my soul, all these things. And it's like, wait a minute, I have control. I have control. And I feel like by being honest with myself first, and it'll help me be honest with my circumstances and my environment and in the life I'm living when it comes to filtering in things in my intake. Which is funny because I fasted before, and in one of my fasting in my times of prayer, I talked about the Lord, how do I put this? Okay. Yes, I remember. It was about intake, and I remember the Lord telling me that, like, be more mindful of, like, what you take in, what you're watching, what you see. Like, if you are consuming too much, I think, yes, that's a perfect word. If you're consuming too much of things that aren't serving you, even if it's like a little thing, it just kind of affects me more in a bigger way than I thought. So it's important to control my consumption when it comes to things I see, watch, hear. It's like sensory overload. I think I'm used to overloading my senses so much that when it comes time to like wind down or like go to sleep, and like your senses kind of like, at night, like, when you're going to sleep, if the room's darker, or you're just in your bed, you don't see nothing, you're not on your phone, you put your phone down or whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna go to sleep. That's like the moment I'm not having that put your phone down moment, go to sleep. I'm like having pure insomnia, because like my senses are just overloaded by whether it's like social media, TV, environment, circumstances, future, sometimes the past, unfortunately. It's like when I want to be in the present, I can be present, but when I'm like, as soon as I pick up my phone to look at something, or I feel like the consumption of it all is kind meant to distract me from myself in a way, because when I'm consuming things or when I'm overly stimulated, I don't really get to express myself in the most positive way as I want to, because at that point, if someone were trying to tell me something or talk to me, I'm like extra sensitive, and it's just like I can't take people talking to me, I can't take conversations, I can't take even like spending time with myself, I can't take hearing anything from anyone, I can't take watching another video, I just shut down, like mentally, physically, emotionally, and like all I feel like throughout my days now is like just tired and exhausted and overwhelmed and like all these negative feelings. And I'm a person who definitely needs structure. Like, I can't really do much like without structure. I need structure, especially with like mental health and my mental health disabilities. Like, it's like, I don't want to call it disability, but like they really do, like panic disorder, depression, those things really do disable you in ways that if you're not on it or you're not proactive in them, it just kind of inserts itself and finds its way into your day when you don't even want it to be there. But you gotta pay more attention to your mental health and your hold on, y'all, because like look at this, like my notification bar, like when it comes up, like it's a distraction too in itself, and I definitely want to, let me just hide, like it's a thing on my phone, you can just hide the notifications up there so you won't get distracted. 1 second. See, okay, now I can focus. I think I'm not gonna call it fast, because when I call things a fast, it's like, what, you know, it's just a whole nother thing. But what I think I'm going to do is take a break from things that overstimulate my mind and be more mindful about my intake and my consumption of things. And because I'm thinking like I'm letting things that are supposed to be at the forefront of my mind kind of be at the background, and I'm letting things in the background be at the forefront, so like the priorities are all mixed up. And it's like I never thought that, maybe I did think that like without therapy things would be easier in a way, which I'm not saying they're not easier in a way. I'm actually able to use all the things that I've been given through therapy in my life, which always feel great when I'm like, okay, this works for me, okay, this doesn't work for me. It's kind of weeding out the things that do work for me, things that don't. And because I'm meant to post my podcast on November 11th, doing these are going to be very helpful too, because I need to do a bunch of like mock trials of podcasting. I need to do a bunch of episodes of podcasting and land on the one that works the best. I highly doubt this would be my first episode of podcasting, but if it ends up being that, cool. I don't mind. Something has to be posted. So if it's this, then it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing that I've been doing is seeking a lot. And I realize that I seek, like when I'm in like this weird space, I'm like, what's going on with me? I'm not feeling positive. I'm not like in a good headspace. I had to pause for a second. I'll get my mind where it needs to go. Okay, anyway. Oh my goodness. Doing this is like, I just used to roll off my tongue so easily sometimes, but I think I have so much on my mind that it's just gonna play out, and I have no idea how long this is gonna be, but I'm just gonna keep on until I get everything out of my system. But like I said, I've just been seeking things to feel better, and like positive things like watching sermons, all types of stuff, reading things, you know, just really meditation. Not really though, I haven't really been meditating like that. I believe I'd have to do more of that, because sometimes that gives me that mental clarity that I need, especially when I'm anxious or have anxiety or whatever. And I realized through like seeking, and like I'm seeking and I'm seeking, and it's like somehow I got here to where I'm recording this maybe not podcast of Elsa's. And Elle Says Podcast. Okay, I don't know. I have a bit. I'm not gonna self-diagnose, but my head kind of moves a lot and bounces around a lot, so it's sometimes a little hard for me to focus. So I'm just gonna say that on one thing, it kind of moves fast. My brain moves pretty fast. And see, like, what was I talking about? Oh, seeking. Okay, yes, seeking put me right here to talking, and then I realized that what I'm seeking outside of myself is truly inside of me. Like, the advice that I need, I have. The direction I need, I have. So it was weird that when I was seeking, I was like, no one's giving me what I need. And like, God's like, because you are what you need. And then it really opened my eyes to realize how much my podcast is needed. And I didn't even realize it until I'm like looking at other people and trying to find something that helped me feel better. And then I can't find it. And then like the person that always makes me feel better is God. Or the one that always makes me feel better is God. And the person that makes me feel better is myself. Which is so weird. But like, I know what I need. And I believe it's because I know myself so well. And I'm self-aware in that. And around these times of the year, I become so like down at first. Like I think October, it's like October 29th. I just think October is just like not for me, but I don't want to say that and just think every year October comes, I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, I don't want to label that. I honestly just want to be like, okay, how can I make, it's almost over. So how can I make this time better? What can I do to just change how my life is going? And I know that I either need to sleep really long or force myself to stay up really late. And I say that because in order to fix my sleep schedule the first time it was so messed up, I literally just went to sleep so long, and like I felt like, oh my gosh, like how could someone sleep this long? I had to go to sleep so long until like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I woke up, and then I started my day, and that's how I started my day constantly. And it was so beneficial to me because I had a lot of alone time, and I'm a person who desperately needs a lot of alone time because literally my head goes so much so fast that I don't really ever get that mental break that I need. Like right now when I'm alone, look how great things come out inside of me and like in my headspace in general. It just like I can think clearer, I can feel more of what is going on inside of me. And I'm not too keen on being around other people. I don't know why. I just am not the person that enjoys being around other people a lot. I think as I grow and become more full within myself, that I will enjoy the company and appreciate the company around me more than it's so if I feel like I'm not in the best space, I'm just around people and it's just like amplifies that feeling of inferiority in myself instead of it being like, okay, this person's adding to me. Even if you were trying to add to me in this moment right now, I don't think I could receive it as well because I'm not adding enough to myself, which is very important. I feel like I should post this because I'm dropping gems and I feel like I need this too. Like a lot of times when I do my podcast, I think about, it's more about the things I need, and I realize it can help someone else too because that's just like the headspace I'm in. And I know you have to start somewhere. I know the audio is probably like whatever, and I have my fan going because I love natural noises. I don't just have my fan, I have a fan and a purifier as well because I have allergies anyway. But like I honestly don't know what I'm allergic to, but I know I have allergies. Like that's all they come to. I haven't taken a blood allergy test, you know, they take your blood to find your allergy. I haven't done that yet, so yeah. See what I'm saying about focus and how it goes everywhere. Anyway, back to what I'm saying, that why I tend to recluse is because being around other people sometimes is effort on my end, and I feel like I have to give like naturally instead of preserving and just chilling, you know, just sitting there or just being there wherever it may be. I just want to be more one within myself before I invite someone else into that space, you know, whether it's like family, friends, or whatever. I think it's important to be whole within yourself before you end up bleeding on other people in the process of changing and growing and becoming, you know, who God calls you to be, you know, or your best self, or you may call it. In that moment of becoming that, you tend to go through a lot of changes. And then, like, at least for me, I know I go through a lot of changes in it, and it really differs on each day. Like, one day you might be getting this version of L, next day you might be getting that version of L. Either way, I'm going to change naturally, over time through this process of healing and becoming more one with oneself and becoming whole in myself and becoming more closer to God and just more in spirit than in flesh, and not letting my flesh run the show, but letting my spirit be the part of me that moves me to do what God's calling me to do, opposed to just living life like I have every day, like tomorrow is promised. And like, I don't want to live like tomorrow is promised. And that's why I'm really hard on myself about how I've been spending my days lately, and what can I do to better that? What can I do to make myself feel better? What can I do to be me? Like, to have L's day. Like, what does L's day look like? Opposed to like, what does like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to live according to other people's schedules. I would like to live according to my own. So that means I have to build my normalcy. Like, being as though this is the thing I'm doing, podcasting, this is my main priority as of right now. This is the thing that I want to have the most focus on. I don't want to be acting like I have 3,125 things to do. I know that I can do other things, but I need to have a main focus. And it's hard for me to just focus on one thing. And I won't just think that I'm just focused on one thing. This is one of the main focuses of all the other things I'm focusing on, which I want to give it more time. That's it. I don't want to be acting like I have time to do like a bunch of things, which I may have time to do a bunch of things, but this is the one thing that I want to focus more on. So spend a little more time doing the things you actually want to do, opposed to the things that you're just doing as a fill-in in your schedule to feel like you did a lot of things. It's better to do 1 or 2 or 3 things a day and really be invested in that than do like 7 things in a day and forgot like what it felt like when you were doing it. Especially being a dancer. It's very important that when I'm dancing, I'm dancing. And when I'm singing, I'm singing. And when I'm writing, I'm writing. And when I'm meditating, I'm meditating, And when I'm spending time with God, I'm spending time with God enough that I can bring God through my day and not feel like I have to keep going back and be like, well, God, were you with me in this? Were you with me in that? No. Like, he's with me in everything because I spent time to make that a priority throughout my day. God is throughout the day. You have different tasks in the day, but you should bring God through all those tasks. Because I know when I pray before I dance, I have a better dancing experience. And if I pray before I do anything, I have a better experience when I'm doing it. I feel safe in it, And like when it comes to podcasting, I feel right when I'm doing it. It's just getting to it is the part for me that I have to work more on. But I know when I'm in it, I can be very honest and very transparent about what's going on inside of myself and what's going on in my life personally, because it's just a transitional period, and sometimes you expect a lot more from yourself than you have space or energy to give. Sometimes I expect myself to be doing this and this, but it's like I need to focus on slowing down that aspect of doing so much in so little time and just start to prioritize the things I actually want to do. And that's going to help me be filled at the end of the day and help me become whole and be more of who God called me to be, opposed to other things that are just a waste of time, like scrolling on social media or sitting here watching this show or this video or whatever. Like, you can do that when you have time to do that, but when you feel compelled to do something else that can fill you more, then that's the thing I want to do. I don't want to do the thing that's more possibly draining for me than adding to me. I'd rather go add to myself than subtract from myself. So it's important in my personal life that I'm more mindful of the time, of the things I'm doing and the time that I'm spending doing said things, And that's just important for me right now in this space and navigating life after, therapy. It's like not having therapy anymore helps me be more mindful and helps me deal with things as it comes, opposed to holding it and then dealing with it when I have a session. But at the same time, it pushes me more to be more proactive in my mental health and not let the little things become big things, and to be my own person and create my own lane and my own way of doing things and not be easily influenced by things or people or anything, because I'm me, and like, I'm the only me I know. So I don't have time to try to figure out why this person's doing that, this person's that. Like, I just know that there's like a spirit of mind your business in my life, and I know that the more I do that, the less irritated I'd be with everything going on outside of me, because I'm more secure in myself. So I'm not going to be so pressed out or easily agitated or moved by what's going on outside of me, because I know what's going on inside of me. So I feel like knowing what goes on inside of you helps you better navigate what's going on outside. But if the inside is unsettled and the outside is unsettled, then everything is unsettled. And if the outside is unsettled and the inside is settled, I believe it's just easier to deal with. But if the inside is unsettled and the outside is settled, then you're like, what's wrong with me? So either way, being settled in oneself, being whole in oneself, feeling good in oneself, being the person you want to be, that positivity, that calmness, that peace, that strength of it all, the joy of it all, like just being that light you actually want to be, being settled in oneself, that I believe is more important, because like everything else outside is like harder to control, but you can control yourself. You have self-control. God bless me with self-control. Like, I know I have self-control. I know that we have self-control. Like, we can control ourselves. And it's just something I want to start praying about more. Is like, God, help me to better understand what's going on within myself, so I can have better control over what I can have control over, and that I can release more of the things that I can't control, because I know I can control myself, and I can control how I react to things and what I do about things, but I know I can't control the things. You know what I'm saying? So I believe it's better to grab strength and power where you can, because you don't want to seem powerless or helpless or hopeless in a situation where God is giving you power and hope and help over, I had to say in general, like in general in life, you don't want to feel powerless, helpless, and hopeless. You want to build that within yourself. You don't want to feel less than. You want to feel more than capable. And even in a very spiritual way, when you spend time with yourself, you can really discover that more, opposed to just being around people all the time. It could kind of put a damper, especially if the people aren't adding to you. Being around people all the time, it can kind of stunt your growth as a person. Because if you spend the time around enough people telling you who you are, you're going to get lost in their perception of you instead of your perception of yourself. Like, you really want to know yourself and be able to tell yourself who you are, opposed to somebody always telling you who you are, what you're going to do, blah, 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 blah. Like, no. And more importantly, in my personal life, who God says I am matters more than anything and anyone. Even when I may be speaking down on myself, who God says I am is way more important. So yeah, I would say that I'm at the 30-minute mark. I expected it to be 30 minutes because I felt like I got all my gems out and can't give all the gems on the first possible episode. So yeah, all in all, overall in this whole thing of, I believe I'm in a season of self-discovery and love, peace, happiness and joy. I'm in that season of discovering what those things look like for myself. Self-love, self-care, self-compassion, self-discipline, and being the change I actually want to see myself. Like, I want to be the change. So I'm going to be the change. I'm already changing in a positive way in my personal life through my eyes, and feeling of God just always being there with me through the process and having my back and guiding me through it all. It's like, I know I'm going to end up becoming better more and more each day, that I'm mindful of this change and of the process, and not like rushing everything and trying to get things done. I don't want to get things done. I want to live life. I want to live through it, and I want to experience it, and I want to enjoy it each and every moment I have life and breath in my lungs. I want to enjoy the human experience. I do truly believe we are spirits having a human experience, so I want to enjoy that. I don't want to be someone who's just letting life pass them by when they know they can add something to it. If you have something, gift, talent, words of wisdom, anything positive, if you have something positive to give, then give that. Because not only will it help you, it can help someone else as well, giving out positive and positivity, and just whatever you feel called to do, taking little steps into that is something. It doesn't have to be you jumping into it, because I know these little steps that I'm taking right now are going to be very beneficial towards my present and my future, But more so importantly, please do not give if you don't have nothing to give because you're just drained. Like, take time to give to yourself first and make sure you are filled. Like, I always want to know that I'm filled and I'm whole, and like God is with me in order for me to do great things like this. I want to make sure I'm filled in a way, because when I'm running on empty, nobody wants to hear that. I need to be filled with myself before I try to help someone else. Like, you got to put the mask on yourself on that plane before you help someone else, because you got to give yourself oxygen first before you give someone else oxygen. Because if you can't breathe, how can you help someone else breathe? Like, come on. We have to help ourselves first before we can help someone else. And I know through therapy I thought that's what I was doing, but I think majority of my sessions I spent on how to help someone else. I didn't really spend time to really think about, okay, how can I help out? Like, I didn't think about that until afterwards, until now, which is very positive, and I feel better in that because I'm looking at myself in a different light opposed to me looking at others before I look at myself. You know what I mean? Oh, my elbow just cracked. See, I just gotta stretch them all. It's like, ooh, look at that. My arm. Okay, anyway. Hopefully, I hear my arms cracking. But yes, thank you for listening. And as a quick prayer that I would like to say is, God, help us in the areas where we feel like we're struggling, God, and I pray that you help us overcome our fears, anxieties when it comes to what you've called us to do. Help us step out on faith in the areas where we feel afraid and that we don't know if it's going to work out. Give us clarity, give us confidence and positivity in that, and help us to have an overcoming spirit. Let us be overcomers and not let everything around us dictate who we are in you, God. Let us be our own person, and let us give when we can give, and when we're in a position where we need, God, let us be in need for that and understand that need, and fill us in those areas where we need, God, so that we can be of service to what we're called to be of service to. And if that service is to ourselves, let us be able to be that as well, and see ourselves in a more positive light, so then we can see others in a more positive light and be the change we want to see in our lives, God. And give us the strength and the provision to do all that you call us to do, and let us be confident in that, and let us be confident in ourselves to know that that is something we can do. And for those who may not believe, God, in you, I pray that you still be with them, God, and let them know there's always a better way, and to believe in something, God, something of any higher power. And God, make yourself real in their life so that they can believe, and that they won't feel like they're in this world alone, but that you're always with them. And for those who do believe, God, I pray we strengthen our faith. And even for those who don't believe, I pray we all have our faith strengthened, because we need it. I need it, especially right now. I pray for myself that I can overcome any anxiety when it comes to this podcast. I can do the best I can while I can do this podcast. I pray that it can reach believers and non-believers, God. I pray that it is open that people will receive it in a way that helps them in any way, God. I don't just want to be one-dimensional when it comes to this podcast. I want everyone to feel welcomed, and I don't want it to feel like I'm pushing any type of vendetta on anyone, God. I want people to be open to receive words of wisdom and just my life experiences and my perspective, God, and listen openly with non-judgmental ears and just go through this life experience with me. And if they need whatever they need, or any help or any advice, God, I pray that I would have the wisdom enough to share and help those that are in need of said things, God. Only you know what my listeners need. So I pray you go into those spots and bless them in those areas, God. And I thank you in advance for the beauty and positivity and the great things you're going to do with this podcast, God. I am being obedient to your word, and I'm doing this and I have fear with it, but God, I pray you rid me of all fear and anxiety around it, and let this podcast be what you call it to be, and use this podcast for your glory and for my victory, Lord. I pray it does great things in the world, and I pray it does great things for me and my life. And for all my listeners, I pray blessings for my listeners, blessings for myself, blessings for everyone. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. I pray that prayer, and I hope that prayer touches your heart. I pray it touched my heart. I know it touched my heart. And we can do this. It's just a process. And I'm really thinking about naming this podcast Process, because that's what this is going to be. Every podcast, I'm not going to have such great things to say. But then again, I don't even, why would I say, that's what I'm saying. Why would I say that? I want to say positive things. Every podcast, I have something great to say. That's the prophecy I'm trying to make of my life. Manifest great things. And yeah, thank you for listening. If this even is posted, I don't even know if you're the first one, or a throwaway, or if this is posted, I did the best I can while I could. And to just, hi, I'm Elle, and this is Elsa's podcast, and you were listening to the Elsa's podcast, and this is what the beginning of things sounds like. This is what process is. So enjoy. Okay, I love you all, and I will talk to you next time. These are neither my intros or my outros. I'm really free winging this. I did not read my intros and my outros, but it'll be a more set thing next time. But that is all for now, my kingies and queenies. I think that's a part of my ending. Either way, let me be done with this. I'm probably gonna edit all this out, but then I should put process unedited and just post this whole thing and just let it be what it's gonna be, and that's that. Okay, thank you, God. God bless y'all, and have a great rest of your day, or night, or morning, or weekend, or week, month, year. All great things. And yeah, I'm gonna try my best to end this podcast in a positive way. Comment, subscribe. I don't know what you say at the end of the podcast, and enjoy, share. Let me know about your process and how you deal with the stresses of day-to-day life, or just what are you in the process of right now, and what are some ways that you get through it. I don't know. I guess that's good enough. But I will talk to you all next time. I'm at the 40-minute mark. Help me, God. And yeah, this is the Elle Says podcast, and you were listening to Queen herself, Elle. I love you all, and I will talk to you next time. XO moi.